So today in this lecture we are going to discuss about the counters, and before coming to the counters, let's have a brief discussion of the flip-flops. So now you can see over here flip-flop, simply these are the two types of flip-flop we have drawn over here. There is one is a D type flip-flop and one is a JK type of flip-flop. So some of the basic terms you must be well aware about that, which is so-called clock in flip-flops. Now you can understand the flip-flops are simply synchronous bistable devices. Okay, or they are also known as the bistable multi-vibrators. What they are known as? Bistable multi-vibrators. Okay, so simply the synchronous means that the output changes state only at a specified point. Okay, आउटपुट एक स्पेसिफाइड पॉइंट पर ही चेंज होगा, चाहे वो लीडिंग हो या ट्रेलिंग एज हो. एज, ओके, एज क्या होती है? सिंपली अगर एक क्लॉक है तो दिस इज योर टू एजेस. ओके, one edge is this one and one edge is this one. Okay, so it will change at the leading or the trailing edge. Okay, so that at that specified point on the triggering input, that is simply called as the clock. This is simply called as a clock. Okay, one thing is this, and simply you know that flip flops are edge triggered, edge sensitive. So what are edge triggered flip flops? No, edge triggered flip flop simply changes state either at the point rising point, this one, or or at the negative edge, means the falling edge. ये दो जगह होती हैं जहाँ पर वो अपनी पोजीशन को चेंज करेगा. फ्लिप फ्लॉप क्लॉक की क्लॉक पल्स जो दी जाती है, ये आपकी क्लॉक पल्स थी पूरी, उसकी एक ये राइजिंग एज हो गई और ये आपकी नेगेटिव फॉलिंग एज हो गई. इस पर आपका आउटपुट चेंज होगा. Now, two types of age trigger flip flops simply are there. We have covered over here, which one in this one is your D type and one is your JK type of flip flop. Okay. Now you can see that in both the flip flops, that is D type and JK type, both flip flops can be positive edge trigger or the negative edge trigger, means the rising edge triggered or the falling edge triggered. Rising edge triggered, you can see that here if there is no bubble, if there is no bubble over here, like it is here in this D type, so this one without bubble is simply you can understand that this is a positive edge triggered D flip flop. Okay, and if there is a bubble over there, then you can understand that this is the a negative edge triggered flip flop. Okay, and the thing you can understand that it is the edge triggered flip flop by the sign of this triangle over here at the C point. If this triangle is there, and we can see that we have a triangle in each of these flip flop here, so this is the edge triggered flip flop. Okay, so the a few things you must be known by this, that one thing is this is the positive edge triggered flip flop because there is no bubble at this triangle, and if there is a bubble at the triangle, this is negative edge flip flop. Similarly in a JK type of flip flop, so that this is positive edge flip flop and this is the negative edge flip flop. You must have recalled what is clock, you must have recalled what is the edge triggered. Okay, so let's move on. Now here you can see that it is shown the D type of flip flop. Now the D input of the D flip flop is simply a synchronous input, okay, because the data on the input are transferred to the flip flop's output only on the triggering edge. तो we have studied earlier on the triggering edge of the clock pulse. जो clock pulse होती है उसकी triggering edge जब होती है, means the positive or the negative, जब भी उसका data transfer होता है. All right. Now in the D type of flip flop you can see when D is high, D is high means it is 1 over here. The output Q goes high on the triggering edge of the clock pulse. This is the triggering edge of the clock pulse. You can see positive high edge triggered, and D, if we have D positive means D is high 1. Okay, at the triggering edge pulse. So the flip flop is you can say is set. Okay, the flip flop Q, if Q is 1 then it is set, if Q is 0 then it is reset. All right, so now you can see that the flip-flop is set. Okay, now when D is low, in the second case you can see when D is low, the output goes low, output goes low on the triggering edge of the clock pulse, and the flip-flop is simply reset. All right, so from here we can draw the truth table of the D type of flip-flop. So in the truth table you can see that for the positive edge triggered flip-flop, that when D is 0, okay, but we have taken the condition first of all for D is 1, so we can see here for D high, if we consider D is high 1 and the clock pulse is there, so you can see that our Q is high, okay, means it is set. Okay, Q bar as it is Q bar, so it should be 0. Like similarly अगर D हमारा 0 है, okay, D input हमारा 0 है और clock pulse high है हमारी, तो at that point it will be reset. So this is a simple truth table of the D type of flip flop. Okay, so because we are studying in very basic, so the truth table of the D type of flip flop is here. Okay, so let's move on. Now you can understand this by a simple example. Just we consider it. Now if you consider this D type of flip flop, okay, in which your clock pulses and your D inputs are given over here in so how you are going to draw the output. Okay, so for the positive edge triggered flip flop, now you can see that we just going to see if it is a positive edge triggered flip flop, all the positive edges of the clock, okay, just we are marking with arrows. Now at this point we have to see that if this clock is high, now we will see whether D is high or not, D is low. So if D is low means it is reset. Okay, if it is reset, then your Q and Q bar we are going to draw, Q and Q bar. So if D is reset means Q bar should be low, should be low. Okay, it is moving low. Now we will see on the second pulse, if second pulse is here, we will again see D is low at that point, again it will be low. Okay, now come to the third pulse, third pulse is here. Now at the third pulse you can see that D is high, so it will become high over here. Okay, now at the fourth pulse, at the positive edge of the fourth pulse, again D is low, so up till that point it will be high and then it will become low. Okay, again we will come to the fifth pulse, it is positive over here and D is high, so at this point it will come and it will become high. Okay, and again at the sixth point D is high, so it will remain high at this point also. Okay, so it is so this is Q. Now Q bar should be just opposite to that, just opposite to that, means at this point it will be high up till this point, it will become low at this point. Okay, it will become high again, it will become low again. Okay, and it will move on like this. Okay, so this is how you can simply see that D type of flip flop at the positive edge pulses. Okay, so you can determine it very easily. Now the second one is JK flip flops. So in the JK flip flops you can see that we have the two inputs, means J and the K is over here. Okay, so we have taken the different inputs combination of J and K flip flops, means 0 0 0 1 1 0, okay, and 1 1. Okay, so what will be the outputs? Let's see over here. Since you can see here we don't have bubble over here, so means this is a positive edge triggered flip flop. Okay, so let's consider first condition. If we have considered the positive edge triggered and this is a positive edge triggered flip flop, so it will trigger at the positive edge pulse, means the when the pulse at the rising edge. Okay, so at the rising edge of the pulse, first condition we have considered 1 0, means J is 1 and K is 0. So when J is 1 and K is 0, you will get the output as set, means it will become the output Q will become set. Okay, so this is the first condition in JK flip flop. And then the second condition, at the positive edge triggered of the flip flop, if your J is low, J is 0 and K is 1, then the output will be reset, means it will get reset, it will get low, it will get 0, Q will be 0 now. Okay, So the third condition, at the positive age pulse, when both the inputs means J and K are positive, okay, J and K are high, you can say high, 1 1, so you will get the same the opposite output, means if it was Q, it will become Q bar, okay, and the Q bar will become Q. This condition in which your both the inputs are same, and your Q, the output become Q bar and the Q bar become Q, this condition is called as a toggle mode. Okay, what this is called as toggle mode. All right, and the fourth condition is when your both the inputs are low, means 0 and 0. Okay, when both the inputs are 0, so there will be no change in the output, it will remain the same as it was. All right, so let's make a truth table. Let's see the truth table of JK flip flop. If we have 0 0, we have already told that we have 0 0 and the clock pulse is there, we will get the same output. If it was Q naught, it will become Q naught, means it will remain Q naught, the previous condition, okay, and Q bar will become Q naught bar. All right, and when J is 0 and K is 1, J is 0 and K is 1 and the clock pulse is there, so Q will become a low, means it will become reset condition. All right, third condition is 1 0, first condition which we have considered in the block diagram. 1 0 is there, then it will become set. All right, it will become set, and if both the inputs are high, means 1 1, and the clock pulse is given, then your Q will become Q naught bar, the previous condition get changed to Q bar, just opposite of that, and it will become Q naught. Okay, so this condition is called as toggle condition. So these are the four modes of operation in the JK flip flop. All right, so let's consider one example over here. You can say that see here, there one JK flip flop is shown over here, and one thing you will see that we have a bubble over here at C. Okay, at this triangle we have the bubble over here, means if the bubble is over here, then you should recall that this must be a negative edge triggered flip flop. Okay, जब ये negative edge trigger flip flop है, so we have to take all the negative edges, all the pulses of all the pulses. Okay, now let's consider this. We have the clock pulse over here, we have a J input over here, we have a K input over here. We have to see the output, means Q. Okay, so first take the condition, this condition, this is your negative edge triggered flip flop. Okay, falling edge, because since this is a negative edge trigger flip flop, so we have to consider the falling edge. So falling at the falling edge, you will see what is J. J is high, K is high. Okay, what will it become? What will it become? It was कैरिंग लो, ये पहले से आपका 0 था, तो इस कंडीशन पे आने के बाद में जब J और K दोनों आपके पॉजिटिव हैं और पल्स ट्रिगर्ड होगी, तो ये आपका हाई हो जाएगा. इट विल चेंज द कंडीशन, इट विल बिकम Q नॉट बार, एंड Q नॉट वॉज 0, तो Q नॉट बार विल बी 1 ओवर हेयर. ओके, अब अगली कंडीशन पर आइए. दिस इज योर नेक्स्ट फॉलिंग एज. यहाँ आप देखेंगे तो J इज लो, K इज ऑल्सो लो. जब दोनों लो हैं, तो what was the condition? When both the inputs are low, so it will remain in the same condition as it was. We have seen over here in the truth table, we have 0 0 over here, it will remain same, there will be no change. Okay, so there will be no change, it will remain the same, high. Third clock pulse, falling edge clock pulse, let's consider. Here you will see J is 0, K is 1. What will it become? It will become what? J is 0 and K is 1, it will get reset. Okay, it will get reset. So at this point your Q output was high and it will become low. All right, this is no changes will be there, no change will come over here. Okay, it will be reset. All right, it will be reset over here. Now consider the fourth pulse. Fourth pulse, at this fourth pulse you will see that falling edge, your J is high, K is low, and when J is high and K is low, it will be set, all right, it will become high. And again at this point, J is high, K is low, it will again be in the set condition. So you, like this you can consider the different uh, different combinations, and you can get the result. Okay, so this is only the basics of the J and D type of flip flop and JK flip flops. All these things will be helpful in your counters. Okay, so in this lecture we are going to study this much only. On the next lecture we will proceed further. Thank you, thanks a lot.